So you weren't with Coach and Miss Terry at the Eagles show last night in Birmingham?
No, I talked to him for a little bit yesterday, but he didn't tell me he was going. I'm an Eagles fan too. That would have been fun to see, but it didn't work out yesterday.
Well, he must not have had any extra tickets, or you would have been there. We saw pictures, and it looked like a good date night for Coach and Miss Terry. Man, they're about 15 rows back. Me and Meg been talking this morning. Can you imagine you sitting there and maybe they waited till the lights went down. I don't know, not to attract attention, and then the Sabins come and sit beside you or in front of you. I don't know if I could have watched the concert for watching them.
That'd be pretty cool, wouldn't it?
Have y'all ever had a chance to sit down and talk music?
You know, we have a little bit. We actually have a lot of the same taste, I think, from bands like the Eagles and groups from the 70s and such that Rolling Stones, everything else that I think we both appreciate.
I want to ask you front and center here this morning before we get into anything A-Day related about how our friend and longtime Bama broadcaster Chris Stewart is doing. Give us the latest update on his health.
Well, he's made great progress. He went home last night or yesterday. And,
that's good.
And it's really been a blessing. I know everybody's been saying their prayers and having them in their thoughts on a regular basis, and we're very fortunate because obviously it was a really scary situation. And
certainly was.
Anybody that spends any time with Chris, I remember, I think the first time I ever met him was at Madison Square Garden, and I walked away from him, and it's probably, I don't know, over maybe a dozen years ago, and I walked away from him and go, boy, that is a nice guy.
I know.
That's the way everybody feels about him. Just one of the most genuine folks around.
We put out the plea one time. If you can say anything or know anything bad about Chris Stewart, call us. We're still waiting for a call.
Hasn't happened. That's not going to happen.
No. How soon do you think he might be back at work? He's a hard-working guy. I bet it won't be long.
Yeah, I don't know exactly. I'm guessing it'll probably be a month or two, just to make sure he gets back and is in as good a shape as possible when that time comes to come back to the broadcast and do the good job that he does.
Greg Byrne, as we head into A-Day weekend, which is obviously always a huge, huge deal around here, the topic of conversation in the Bama Nation is Jalen Hurts and his dad, and the comment that if he's not the starter, that he may transfer. How did you react when you heard that?
Well, parents obviously are protective of their children. I get that, and at the same time, too, what Coach Saban does is he has to do what's right for Alabama football, and so he'll manage that well, and I know do the right thing for our program, the right thing for the young men on our team, and that's what he does year after year, and I don't have any doubt it'll be the case for this situation too.
Jalen is a remarkable young man and has been nothing but classy his entire run here at Alabama, and hopefully will continue to have this run at Alabama. And I have to believe, though, and obviously I have no way of knowing, that at some point he probably thought to himself, come on, Dad. I mean, please, Dad.
Well, like you just said, both Jalen and Tua both are fine young men, and they've represented us extremely well, and we know that'll continue in the future.
So there have been some surveys sent out, and I've talked to folks that got them from you, just asking about the fan experience with Alabama, maybe some thoughts on the Bryant-Denny upgrade, Coleman Coliseum. What kind of feedback are you getting on those two hot issues?
Well, we've had a lot. I think we've had north of 7,000 responses for Bryant-Denny, and I think we're north of 2,000 for Coleman. It's critical that you understand what priorities are for your fans, and understand that the model of sports viewing continues to change, and it's really important that we evolve with it and offer amenities and experiences that work well for our fans. Because, obviously television is very good, but we want to make sure the experience you have on game day at any of our venues is better than sitting at home and watching on television.
That's right.
You can't replicate that by doing anything but being there. And so, I think if you look at programs both in the professional level and the college level that have continued to have long-term success, they've been able to continue to evolve with changing times. And so that's what we've been working on and looking at doing. And, what that means for those two venues, or for, football experience or men's and women's basketball experience and gymnastics as a whole, don't know quite yet, but this has been a very good exercise for us to get that information and then develop our plans, which as we do, we'll share that with the public. But, one of the things sometimes we hear, especially hear it a lot about Coleman, is that I'll just go build a new arena.
Right.
Well, I get that, a lot of times when I'd hear that from folks, you'd look up and you say, boy, you're not a season ticket holder or a donor, but we need to have a financial model to make that work. Now, don't get me wrong, we still hear from folks who are supporting the program financially as well.
Sure.
But whatever you do, you have to have a financial model that works. And sometimes I've been a part of facilities, watching them be built from new, and that's the right thing to do. Other times you have facilities that are very good in many aspects, and a renovation is the right thing to do. And then sometimes you don't do anything because you don't have the financial model that works. And so we've been trying to be able to gather all that information and then make the right long-term decisions. That's what we're going through the process of right now. The surveys have been helpful.
I understand. Now, tell us where you lean personally, Greg Byrne. If you could have it your way on Coleman, would you just do a tear down and rebuild, or what would you personally prefer?
Well, if the dollars were equal completely, and if you'd say, hey, build a new arena, but I don't know if that's the case. And the question you ask is, can you get the same type of amenities and experience for your fans, for your student athletes, by remodeling? And if that's the case, and it's a lot more prudent financially, and you think you can get something that will set the facility up for the next 30 or 40 years, then you definitely we'll have to consider that as an option. And right now, the thing we do know is the bones of Coleman Coliseum are very good, and that's a good first step, because that footprint of where Coleman is quite large, and we have a lot of operational items that we have in there that aren't easy to replicate. So, that's part of the reality as you're making decisions.
Do you have a timeline on doing whatever it is that we end up doing?
No.
Not yet.
Right now we're trying to see if there's a financial model that can work, because
first.
We were just dramatically impacted, as a lot of universities were, because of the tax reform.
Oh, I know.
Not to talk politics, but
you're right.
It's just a reality. And so people's ability to deduct giving that impacts seating isn't quite the same as where it was, and we're waiting for some rulings from the IRS that hopefully will be a positive thing. Because at the end of the day, we still, across the country, we're going to have to support our infrastructure, keep it up to date and remodeled, and making sure it's a good experience and safe for our fans and for our student athletes. Those are real dollars, and we've been able to deduct those in the past. And if we can't do that in the future, that's going to put a lot of schools in a very challenging position.
So, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's looking like, I guess, next year, like Tide Pride donations may not be tax deductible, right?
Yeah, the Tide Pride donations are no longer tax deductible. And
so, what kind of impact would that be?
Well, we've been fortunate from a football renewal standpoint. People have still been renewing, but that's not necessarily the case across the country. So that's something we don't take for granted, and we really do appreciate our fans who are there day in and day out supporting the program, because it's such a difference maker for us. But right now, those are not deductible. The
Planet's lining up financially like we hope they would. What kind of upgrades would you foresee at Bryant-Denny?
Well,
what would you want to do?
Yeah, I think the experience for our fans who are sitting in seats throughout the stadium, you want to make sure they have good experience getting into the stadium, getting out of the stadium, the concourses, that it's just not wall-to-wall people, that they have some room to actually maybe have a little bit of elbow room, the restrooms and concessions.
We fans have gotten larger.
Yeah, some have. Some have, absolutely.
Some of us have.
That's why you got to make sure you balance that. One of the things that Gina and I love to do is eat, but you got to balance that with making sure you take care of yourself in the process.
That's right.
But we want to make sure that our fans have a good experience no matter where they're sitting, and to where they keep saying, boy, being at Bryant-Denny is a wonderful experience. And so, concessions, restrooms, concourses, seating areas, there's some different amenities out there now that maybe weren't there the last time we expanded the stadium. And I think what you look at programs out there, they're not necessarily into quantity anymore. It's about the quality of the experience and trying to find that right balance for us.
The times are changing with some of our SEC brothers and sisters out there. Do you ever see booze being sold inside Bryant-Denny?
Well, it's being talked about more and more, and I know there was some legislation from the NCAA that basically I think is going to give the autonomy to the conferences and the institutions to decide what they want to do. Right now in the SEC, it's still not legal in the general seating areas to sell or serve alcohol, and we obviously are very respectful of that. But could that ever change? Yeah, it certainly could. When that would be, I don't know.
Would you like to see that happen? Would you be for it or against it?
Oh, man, you paint me in a corner on that.
I know. I mean, you know, do you want it to turn into a big old Sturgill Simpson concert atmosphere?
Well, it's interesting. Some of the schools that have started selling in venue like Texas, like West Virginia,
right,
they have claimed now. And talking to their leadership, and I believe them, that their in-game incidents have actually gone down because
is that right?
Yeah, because the binge drinking before they go into the venues isn't as strong.
Well, I see that's an angle that makes sense.
Yeah. Now, what I'll tell you is that here at Alabama, we are not leading the charge to have the SEC change the rule, but there is some discussion from some schools. Yes,
it's being talked about. We got the news yesterday about the other day about the Notre Dame football scheduling. 10 years out, but home and home. That's going to be. I'm happy to see that. That's fantastic. Any other future scheduling you're eyeing right now? Can you give us maybe break some news?
Well, I can't break any news for you, but we are having some discussions, and I'd said that, I think, probably starting about 6-7 months ago, and that hasn't changed. So I think the model for us, and Coach Saban has said it very well, where we play the neutral games have worked extremely well for us from a competitive standpoint. For our team, it's also been very good from a financial standpoint for us as well. And so I don't want to get rid of that model by any stretch. But again, like I said, how there's an evolution that takes place when it comes to your experience for your fans. I think the same thing with your scheduling. So we have had some discussions with Notre Dame. Obviously, we got a home and home series done. There's some other schools that we've had some conversations with, and we'll see what happens down the road.
Greg Byrne, Athletic Director, University of Alabama, as we get ready to officially kick off A-Day weekend, a big weekend in Tuscaloosa. Were you the least bit surprised when Fortune named Coach number 12 greatest leader in the world ahead of Tim Cook at Apple and Oprah Winfrey and a lot of other people?
Well, that's pretty high cotton, isn't it?
Yeah, it's high cotton for sure.
And getting to know Coach Saban like I have over the last year, I can see why he's viewed in that manner. He's an incredible leader, done a great job here with our football program. But both he and Miss Terry, it stretches beyond that, not only with our football program, our entire athletic department, our university, our state, our community, the impact they've made on literally thousands upon thousands of lives. And, you know, for some reason, there's a lot of classes that ask me to come speak there, and often I get asked the question, what does being successful mean to me? And being successful is the ability to make an impact on other people's lives. Mm-hmm. And certainly Coach and Miss Terry have done an incredible job with that. And getting to, as a person that's been around leaders my entire life, they really are on another level, and I've been very fortunate to be around them, and I know everybody else in the Alabama fan base feels the same.
Well, they're on another level, but they were just one of us, it looks like, at that Eagles concert last night. That's what we love about them, right?
That's awesome.
By the way, I want to take a quick second. I know you're busy, and I just want to sing the praises. We talk about football a lot, of Coach Dana Duckworth. My God, what a champion. In fact, they're in St. Louis going for it this weekend. We wish them the best, but we adore her and her spirit and her style. What a motivator she is.
She's got incredible energy, incredible passion for the university, for the sport of gymnastics. Obviously, we start competing today at 12 o'clock.
That's right.
If we're fortunate enough to make the Super Six, I'll be there tomorrow night.
That's great.
President Bell. And it's something that that's really been a shining star for our university. The job that Sarah and David Patterson did over the years, and Dane has done a wonderful job of coming in and taking off from where they left the program in such great shape. So
she's wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful, and we wish them nothing but the best today.
How is somebody else is wonderful? How is Roll Tide Mama?
Roll Tide Mama, she's doing great. She's really gotten adjusted to Tuscaloosa.
Good.
And we actually, it gets around town quickly. We know we bought a house for a year, kind of see what we want to do, and we just bought another house last week, and we're going to be moving here at the beginning of the month to another part of town. So
you know what?
We're excited about that, and she's excited about that.
That's a good sign.
Yep.
We like that. We love you. We hope you stay here forever. We appreciate you. What's your A-Day tradition, real quick? What will your schedule be like tomorrow?
Well, we got a lot going on. We got our letter winners back. We've got baseball tonight at home, baseball, softball tomorrow, and so I'll be try to be at a lot of places. Actually, our commissioner, Greg Sankey's coming into town today, so I'll be with him here most of the day here in just a little bit. But a lot of stuff going on for our team, obviously for our fans. We're looking forward to having everybody out there, and that's one of the things that's so important. to understand by having a full Bryant-Denny Stadium on for our A-Day games and for all of our games,
That's right.
it's such a difference maker for us because we have our recruits there. And sometimes when people will say, I think I'll just stay home today, boy, I appreciate it. We're all tempted by that, but at the same time, too, it makes a great difference for our program and for our recruiting, for our team, to have our fans there and be part of that experience. So we just want to encourage everybody to be out there and have a great day tomorrow.
Did you go to the White House the other day?
I did, yep. Second time I'd been there. I was there for a meeting about 4 years ago. But yeah, what a great experience. And everybody back there, including President Trump, made us feel very welcome.
Does Trump look better in person than he does on TV? I've heard that he does.
He's a big fella. You know, I'm 6'6", and I think he probably was 6'4" or so. And we were fortunate. Miss Terry and Coach, and then Regina, Roll Tide Mama, and I, and then three of our captains got to spend and President Bell got to spend about 10 minutes in the Oval Office. Oh,
my goodness. That's just got to be overwhelming, surreal, and everything else.
Absolutely. That's a good way to describe it.
And then Coach was recruiting on the phone much of that time. Is that correct?
Yeah. He didn't call in the Oval Office, but he was making recruiting calls when we were touring the office, the White House.
Love it. Love you too, Greg Byrne. Have a great weekend, and God bless you. We appreciate you.
Hey, thanks so much. Roll Tide.
You bet. What a guy. Yeah.
The Steve Shannon Morning Show, 95.3 The